Just over a month ago, I made a video about how much I loved Astro's Playroom and why I thought that Astro Bot was lined up to be PlayStation's next family-friendly platformer mascot. Now that I've played and completed Team ASOBI's latest entry for the character, I can confirm my original sentiments that this game proves they know how to make a platformer that oozes personality and shows just how good they are at crafting experiences with fun in mind. To make it as plain as possible, I believe if you have any affinity for platformers or PlayStation, this game deserves your time and money. The experience of playing through this is where most of the enjoyment and fun comes from, so I'm not going to show you too much footage beyond the first couple of hours of playtime. Showing anything more than that could potentially steal, and I do use that word intentionally, the joy from you in playing through this yourself. Astro Bot naturally picks up pretty soon after Astro's Playroom and where that left off. Through that small experience that launched with the PS5, we were working our way through levels designed to showcase specific aspects of the PS5 like the CPU, GPU and SSD. Little did we know, we were inside a PS5 spaceship, intended for the Astrobots to travel across the galaxies. Now this may shock you, but the story is not what the recommendation for this game is for. It's through the progression of the game's aspects and franchise nods that are introduced to you where its personality and character truly shines. For context though, Astro Bot is forced on a quest to find the parts of the ship after being sabotaged by a mischievous alien, and that's when your journey across the galaxies begins, making your way through the game's many stages to find the missing pieces of the ship and reassemble them. You'll also be making your way through these stages regrouping your Astro Bot friends, many of them with familiar faces. The more you find, the more stages and areas of the game's hub area become available to you. This whole game is clearly a love letter to not just PlayStation franchises, but gaming characters and franchises as a whole, with the crash site hub area being structured in a way just to remind you and make you appreciate the years of characters that we've come to know and love. Though, the nostalgia aspect aside, this is also such a well-crafted platformer where the key design element of it is just fun. Being fun is just something that is continually at the heart of the game. It is split up into 6 main segments to work through, each with a main boss at the end of those segments. Although the mission select screen takes the form of an asteroid-style navigation menu, you can think of it very much like Crash Bandicoot 3's level selector. Though the transition from hub to level selection is so seamless that you will literally never have a reason to put the controller down from when you pick it up. The levels that you'll be playing through are so varied in mechanics and design that going through all of them here would not only be overkill, it'd also just be wrong, in that these mechanics and design decisions are intended for you to experience, as you never know what is in store for you in the next 10 yards, let alone the next level. If you've played Astro's Playroom, you'll understand basically what to expect here, as traversing around the general environment is much the same, with the controls and the camera being the same. It's effectively a 3D platformer akin to a similar control design of one of the 3D Mario games. Many of the Astro's Playroom gameplay features and the way that you utilise the DualSense controller return here, but there are also so many more that you're given to play with on a constant stream of creativity where the puzzle design around the DualSense is at play. It's such a difficult thing to explain when talking about how revolutionary the DualSense controller is when it comes to the interaction and use of sense when we play games, but in my opinion it really does add another layer to the level of tactile feedback we get from games, and never has it been truer than with this game. The only real way to describe this to you is how you'll be actively engaging not only with the game's mechanics, but also just general environments that you'll want to see exactly how things respond both on screen and from the controller when interacting with them. You'll not only smash crates for items, but you'll also just randomly destroy objects to get a sense of what that object is designed to feel like. I say feel extremely purposefully, as this isn't just a visual experience. Most of the levels that you're playing through are so to the point with the mechanics that they introduce, sometimes you'll feel as if you've blinked and then you're just on to the next thing. That is not a bad thing at all. It keeps the game feeling consistently fresh, and when you have an item or tool that does come back around later in the gameplay and you recognise its use, you'll get an instant sense of satisfaction to that familiar feeling via the DualSense itself. It may seem like I'm overselling it a little bit, but I really can't emphasise enough how I love this controller design, and I love even more how the development team have so rapidly become masters in game design around it. I don't want to go into too much more depth about the gameplay. You can kind of work out what the game is about just by very brief glimpses from trailers. If you take one thing away from this video, just know that it's consistently fun, and at no point was I ever bored. The only area where mileage may vary is in difficulty, which is of course subjective. For me, none of these levels were at the difficulty level of, say, some of Crash Bandicoot's time trial trophies, though there are some levels that take you a few tries to get through, and the game's bonus end challenge level was certainly a key patience tester, but even that was a joy to overcome. Overall though, I would describe this as an extremely accessible platformer that focuses more on fun than challenge, which is no doubt what Team ASOBI were aiming for. The journey this game takes you on with its approach to collecting all of the cameo Astro Bots is again nothing short of just plain and simple fun that effectively does its job tugging at the nostalgia heartstrings right throughout. The simple narrative behind your journey across the planets does its job completely fine too. This isn't setting out to make you fall in love with Astro Bot as a character and his story. It's achieving the goal of making you fall in love with the charm that comes with Astro Bot as a concept and how Astro Bot serves as a complete love letter to video games. The only slight exception to that is the game's final climactic mission, which I won't spoil, but I can easily say that it's a tone-perfect ending to this Astro Bot adventure, in all of its aspects of being a video game and PlayStation celebration with its clearly defined aim of just being as fun as it can be. Something that I absolutely must mention is the return of Kenneth Young as the composer for Astro Bot, following on from the work that he did in Astro's Playroom. The motifs heard in Astro's Playroom make a strong return here, and with so many more stages available, the music through the game is something that will undoubtedly work its way into your subconscious, and you will be humming it repeatedly. There are some moments through the game that see other familiar soundtracks played, but with the spin of Astro Bot's own style and beat, that it just delivers so much more personality. In my video on Astro Bot being PlayStation's new platformer mascot, I touched on the idea of this being the potential first game for so many that introduces them to PlayStation and video games, and I stand by that sentiment. Not even just for the kids that may play this, but also to the adults, as this game gives a sense of unlocking the power to rekindle a sense of childlike wonder and joy. The Platinum Trophy for this game was so fundamental to the experience of just playing it that it didn't ever feel like I was working towards a Platinum more than just playing the game normally. You'll get this Platinum Trophy for basically finding all of the collectibles, completing all missions, and carrying out some specific interactions with the cast of cameo characters in the Crash Site Hub area. All of which is basically just 100% completing the game and interacting with everything you'll already want to interact with. For me, the difficulty side of things was quite straightforward, straightforward, with only a few select levels giving any real grief in mastering them, those specifically being the PlayStation shape levels, which you'll be introduced to in each of the galaxies, even the more difficult levels being relatively friendly in that they are only a short amount of time to complete, so even failure sees you basically retrying that section that lasts barely minutes. Outside all of that, the only real challenge I can see frustrating anybody is the very last bonus level, but in my opinion, even that is probably somewhere around the 6 out of 10 difficulty rating as far as platinum trophies go. For me, I achieved the platinum trophy in 12 hours of total playtime. From start to finish, this is an easy recommendation to anyone with access to a PlayStation 5. The creative design, impressive graphic fidelity, amazing soundtrack, and just being an outright fun platformer has honestly made me feel this game could easily be worth the Game of the Year title at this year's Game Awards. There are 2 points of negative criticism that I can see this game having overall. The first is extremely minor, and it's that some of the items that you collect for customization of Astro Bot and the DualSense ship do come a little bit too late in the experience to fully appreciate all of them. That leads directly into the second area of what some people could consider to be criticism, and that's the length of the experience for what is only a slightly reduced from full price game, given the fact that this overall length is unlikely to last much more than a 15-hour run. To those people, I'd say that this is a perfect example of how quality over quantity can be the key aspect of why this game is worth both your time and your money. It won't have you sinking hundreds of hours like any RPG you've played that comes with ups and downs. It will simply be a joyful platformer that you won't want to put down, and the only thought you're left with once it's over is, when can I have more? Team ASOBI have stated that more content will be added down the line, and it's something that we'll have to wait and see as to whether that will be free content or paid DLC. For me, I'd say for the asking price and the track record of some PlayStation studios releasing free content, like God of War Ragnarok Valhalla, my money is on it being free content that releases, which again, I have no doubt would only better this overall package. So in real summary, do yourself a favour and play this game. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please drop a like on the video. Also consider subscribing to the channel, as I'll likely be doing more reviews and discussions. And if you have any thoughts on the videos, please feel free to comment below, as I'd like to make these both as entertaining and helpful as possible. I've had a small gap in making videos just due to some life circumstances, but I'm still around and still plan on continuing this channel with as much free time as I can find to do so. Let me know in the comments if there are any releases you're looking forward to, as I'm always looking for what to play next myself. My name is Liquidizer, it's been a pleasure, and I hope to see you again real soon.